We are live from the shadows of the historic Fremont Bridge.
I'm really glad that you say that because I can never remember which bridges are which.
Yeah, the big one right above
Yeah, no,
us.
I've lived here forever, and I still.
You could live under this bridge. A lot of people do.
A lot of people do. It's one of those things like I'm just now getting to like, okay, that's Burnside Bridge, that's Fremont Bridge. Like it was always funny like when I hear traffic reports and they'd say whatever bridge, and I just
Couch
like,
Street, Gleason.
you know what I mean? Like I would just be like, number one, I didn't live in Portland, so I didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't drive through it. Now I do all the time. But then it was always like, oh yeah, no, just take that bridge this way. And I was always like, huh? Like, which one's the steel bridge? I'm like,
It's next to the Iron Bridge.
I'm like, I don't know.
Next to the Copper Bridge.
I'm really good with those kind of things normally, but for whatever reason, because it never really impacted me, I never cared.
Well, some of them like have the exit name, so it's like take the exit for the Morrison Bridge,
Ross
take
Island
the
Bridge,
exit Ross Island and Hawthorne, St. John's.
But if like just like in my head, I never like knew which ones were which.
I'll bet you most people don't realize when you're south of the Moda Center, but still going through downtown. I bet you most people don't realize that double decker is called the Markham Bridge.
Yeah, no,
because it's not really.
It doesn't
seem like a bridge. It's just like an overpass. It just happens to be 85 feet in the air above a river.
Just learned that was a bridge right now.
See, here we go.
I don't
we can
know.
Pack it in, folks. Call it a day. We've learned something. We're out of here.
There's the I-5 bridge.
Prime time's next.
205 bridge. Those are the bridges I know.
Do you know the 205 bridge is called the Glenn Jackson Bridge?
Yes.
Only reason I know that is because there's a sign on the bridge. But if you ask me what the name of the bridge was,
exactly,
got nothing for you.
Speaking of bridges, the New York Knicks have bridged their gap to the next head coach of their basketball team. That would be one, Mike Brown.
The guy they wanted all along. It's not the guy they wanted all along.
The only guy to get a second interview. Yeah. Which usually if you get a second interview, you got to feel good. And if nobody else gets a second interview, you got to feel great.
Sure.
You're right. And let's start there. This can't be where they thought it was going.
No, and the Knicks got good again.
They got good.
And
good, not great.
James Dolan just put his head between his legs and just went, oh, I love the smell of my own farts. And we went right back to the Knicks just believing that they were something that they're not.
Yeah.
That they could go and just take Jason Kidd away from the Dallas Mavericks. And that was going to be it.
Yeah, and I'll tangent real quick on that thought. The Lakers have kind of been that way too. The last time they had, a true bona fide head coach was Phil Jackson.
Well, I mean, Vogel won him a title.
But I mean, they had a lot of guys who were good up and coming potentials, but nobody that was like a bona fide guy.
Sure, yeah.
And it feels like the Knicks are kind of in that same realm. And to your point, sometimes the brand is big to us that talk about the brands, but sometimes those that are getting hired, like I heard Don Staley being floated around. Like, I think that'd be rad to have Don Staley in the NBA. But if you're Don Staley, like I don't think I want that job.
Is that is that what you want to go do?
Yeah, I don't think the Knicks is that exciting to me when I run my own show.
Well, look, I mean, not only that, you talk about the Knicks in general under James Dolan's leadership, and you hear the horror stories in the front office, in the coaching ranks, the surveillance system they have that like rivals the CIA. Like we've talked about this, like they have facial recognition software. Like when they throw somebody out of an MSG building, which also includes the Sphere in Las Vegas, as well as a bunch of other places. Like if they 86 you, like you're banned for life, kind of a deal. And if you try to get in there, they will trespass you.
Yeah, there's been like a couple people like that have been banned recently for life from MLB stadiums for doing stupid stuff. Yeah. And that's the question, that's the question I always see online is how do they know this? Well, some stadiums have facial recognition, but some don't.
Well, there's a show on one of those like Discovery channels about security, and I think it's the Browns or the Bengals. I can't remember which one it is, but like they show that the security room with all of their cameras, and buddy, they got you in
Somebody's
4K
watching.
Everywhere. Everything you were doing is being monitored, and like they have a text line in the building of like how you go, like if you want to report something, like some kid was smoking weed in the stands on his vape pen, and or vaping,
and they kick you out for ratting on him.
No, like because there's signs posted everywhere, no vaping, anything, and like there's live cameras everywhere, and even they can go back in time and zoom in and basically like real time, and they see this. They show the kid hitting the vape, handing it to his buddy, hitting his vape.
And you two are gone.
They 86, and these kids throw a fit, and they're like, "You didn't see anything." Like, no, we saw everything.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going,
It's actually in your left pocket.
"Yeah, like we know where it's at, dog." And
I actually know the brand.
and
I
it was-
have the same. I mean, I saw the same one at the
No.
store.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like, oh, like the sophistication, and we're seeing this as it pertains to like season tickets and
Mm-hmm.
like who's sitting in what seats, so they can track who, like if you're actually selling your tickets on the market, kind of a deal. Like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. But as it pertains back to the Knicks, I like Mike Brown. I think he's a good coach.
I'm with you. I think he's a very likable guy.
Yeah, dude,
I think
yeah.
he got a bad rap in Cleveland when all that went down. I liked him there.
Yeah.
He's worked under Steve Kerr, Greg Popovich. He's worked in great places.
And he got the Kings back to relevancy before, things went sideways with some stuff, and they were just like, oh, we want him gone because we want our guy Doug Christie in here. It's like
and again and again
Kings.
and again.
And
What was the bit?
yeah, it's just
Rotation. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
He kept saying the same word over and over.
yeah, it's just no,
But this doesn't make the Knicks better, I don't think.
it's going to be interesting because here's the thing. I like Tibbs.
I do too. I thought Tibbs worked great with how that roster was built. We can talk about how he used the bench and limited guys, etc. You might not agree with that.
Every coach has a quirk, and like it's the quirks that you're willing to work with and deal with and all those things. But like this idea that like I hate going down this path because it always gets people worked up.
Work them up, Danny.
There isn't a coaching hire you're going to make when you already have a good coach, and Tibbs is a good coach.
Great coach.
Like, if you put Spoelstra on that team, do the Knicks win a title? Does it effectively change who they are? No.
No, those players, that team specifically, no. Those players have a pretty solid identity at this point. We've talked about it in the past. That team, like Joe and I talk about this all the time. That team's identity is hustle, and they make everything a little harder than it should be because they lack some of the cleaner, more higher-end athletic skills, in my opinion.
Not just that. It's like you look at Jalen Brunson and you look at that roster. It's like, is OG Anunoby going to be out there creating for you? No. So that's not why he's like, could you be mad that Josh Hart isn't taking shots? Yeah, but that's a Josh Hart thing. And there was like, well, Tibbs should get that out of him. Like, well, he had the same issue in Portland. It had started in Portland. He started in Portland actually making more threes, and then all of a sudden he got the yips. So he did it for Chauncey and he did it for Tibbs. Like, there's just some things like coaches don't control. And you can talk about Tibbs being rigid in his adjustments and his rotations. Sure, but this whole idea that, like, Tibbs doesn't do anything, it makes me want to put my head into a spike. It's just like, you guys have no idea how many different things that coaches are looking at, particularly in high leverage spots in the playoffs. They're looking at it. They know their roster. And you know how they know their roster? Because they're showing you who they trust and why they do or don't trust somebody. Because there's so many times in the playoffs, you're screaming for this guy to get out there. And they have this one performance, and they're like, yeah, but he did that in that one performance. Well, yeah, the other 4 times you tried it, it was disastrous for those 4 minutes, and you had to pivot immediately. And so it's like,
I could argue that team needs heavy coaching. There's a lot of teams that don't, I mean, I definitely don't want to take away from Steve Kerr, but I'm going to use him as an example. There was a while there where it's kind of just roll the basketball out and manage some egos. Now, that's no easy task in itself, but some teams need that direction, need that coaching, need that play design, and I think the Knicks are one of them. That is where I will say Mike Brown could be a positive. I think he is a good coach. I think he can run a great offense. It's just going to be vastly different.
And the other part of this is the core of that team is made up of those Villanova guys. It's McHale, it's Brunson, it's Hart, and then OG is same mentality. Cat's different.
Bridges. Yeah.
I mean, like.
Oh, you said that.
Yeah, no, but Cat's a different.
Cat's a
dude.
different cat.
Yeah, I mean, he's, Mitchell Robinson is just going to show up and do things. You add Jordan Clarkson, you add Gershon Yabusele. It's like, it's not going to be like none of those guys I look at as like, oh, those are ego management problems. Like, there's a bunch of stuff in Tibbs. Those guys rock with Tibbs. Like they did. Like, I think it was a bit of a surprise to some of them to an extent of him being let go. And then the Knicks operated as if they were the big swing and and they were just going to go tell Dallas, give us your coach.
Well, also, I think, it sounds like reports are that Dolan was going to have Tibbs fired no matter what before the playoffs. And then Tatum tears his Achilles, and all of a sudden you're in the Eastern Conference Finals, and you have a chance to go to the finals, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, you have your most successful run in a quarter century.
And maybe the players thought the same thing too. Like, whoa, I kind of like Tibbs now, but if you'd have called me before the playoffs started, I probably would have agreed. And
Yeah.
that's why maybe we had some reports of Brunson okay with Tibbs being gone.
Yeah, and it's just it's the Knicks being the Knicks. They did this without having a plan or believing in their own hubris, and that has been the mark of James Dolan and the Knicks.
We talked about this yesterday. It'll never cease to amaze me, no matter how large the brand is, that people still can't figure out how to run an organization.
They can't get out of their own way.
And there's copycat ideas all over the place. Not everybody has to do what the Thunder do.
You don't have to
You
reinvent the
can
wheel.
do what the Nuggets did,
No.
or do what the Bucks did.
Mhm.
Like this, there are different routes to go. It's
Mhm.
not all one road leads to gold. Yet they still can't figure it out.
No, it's very Knicksian. And again, Mike Brown being your hire is not the worst case scenario.
No.
Mike Brown is an above average coach.
And
I
think
I like Mike Brown.
I think you hope that the great things Tibbs brought to this group of guys, the core group, not
Sure,
the new dudes,
that
the
it
core
that it
group,
continues.
that you can use that and then add your flair
Mhm.
to it. I don't know if that will happen. That's a huge question mark, probably the biggest question mark why, people might question this Mike Brown hire, but I mean, you said it. I don't know who else they were going to get.
Well, the result is totally fine. The process was horrendous. The process and the planning was horrendous.
Happy birthday, James Dolan.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. I've gone down this rant of coaching in the NBA. Bad coaching can hurt you. Great coaching can help you. Most teams in the NBA have good coaches.
Yep. Yeah.
And they have some things that help you. They have some things that you have to work around, but that's the reality. It's the same thing with every player in the league. You talk about, the best players in the league, like they help you in something like Nikola Jokic, one of the best players, for my money, the best player on the planet. He's not the best defender in the NBA, so you have to build a roster around him to support that. You go and get Aaron Gordon so that he can be the guy that covers up for his flaws. And like
James Harden, one of the all-time greatest scoring guards of all time, don't want him on my team.
yeah, it's like
Personal preference, don't want him on my team.
because of like certain limitations
Yep.
and factors that go into it.
That doesn't do it for me.
No, and everybody talks about, Phil Jackson and him being this, that, and the other. I'm like, let's also remember he coached the Knicks.
And it didn't end
And
well.
it didn't go well.
Yeah, it didn't start
went
well,
really
didn't
well
end
with
well.
MJ and Scotty and Kobe and Shaq. I think a lot of coaches would have done really, really, really well with
I'm
those
ready to
groups.
do Kobe and Shaq. That
Right?
sounds great.
So, it's like, again, that's my whole coaching rant in the NBA. But result fine, process very Knicksian.